So what if they discovered that male and female brains there's no difference? So I don't care. Assalamu alaikum. Got a question through Facebook, and the link for my Facebook page is in the description box. For those of you who would like to send me questions or topics that are kind of issues running through your mind you would like to hear something about, send away. So this one comes from Ali, and Ali is asking, in a recent study done by Tel Aviv University, they found that males and female brains were not so different. Based on these findings, can we remain true to the Quranic notion of roles for a man and a woman? Jazakumullahu khairan. So, first of all, we have to establish before we talk about anything to do with scientific discoveries, or like, where is the ultimate authority? That's number one. Because of the modern age that we're living in, and the kind of the prestige and the influence that science has, a lot of Muslims have unfortunately fallen for the notion of giving science and scientists the ultimate authority to speak about ultimate reality regarding existence, how we should live, how we should be, all of that. And that, I think, is a problem. The ultimate authority should not be given to a people who, in their investigations, use a method that is reductive by nature, that looks at just a part. This is what the scientific method, for the uninitiated, the scientific method works based on science, all of science right now, works based on taking a phenomenon, any phenomenon, whatever it is, and breaking it into its components, and then looking at each component by itself, and knowing everything there is to know that you can find out to know, based on whatever tools you have right now, of that component. And because to study each component takes so long, and like it's just so much resources, you have different subfields and subspecialties in each field of science, and each one studies that component. Now, like it's a logical fallacy to think that by knowing the properties of the part that you now understand the whole. It doesn't work that way. You might know the properties of the part, but once that part goes into the whole, it might act in a different way in its natural environment, because much of science is done in artificial environments. You go to a lab where it's use aseptic technique, and you make sure you measure everything to the 0.0001 kind of measurements, and it's all really artificial. And then we figure all of that out, and then we come back, and because the scientist wants to give some relevance to the findings, they want to justify to the funders, the people that are funding this research, they need to justify to them, give me more money, because with the money that you gave me, I found this, and that. So sometimes, or not sometimes, usually all the time, whenever science goes from the lab and goes from kind of medical research where we're trying to find some things, and goes into culture, steps outside of its realm and goes into culture, goes into metaphysics, goes into the meaning of life and all of that stuff, now you've overstepped your bounds. You're now creating myths, really. When they talk about asatir al-awwalin, these are asatir being constructed by scientists to give themselves kind of relevance and give themselves social status and all of these things. Fine, whatever. You can say whatever you want to say, but I don't have to accept all of these things. I can accept your physical findings and all these, some conclusions you come to where you're not making huge leaps of induction, where you're going too far and you're saying things about the whole when you only know just this little tiny bit about things. So this is the issue with science. And for us, if you're wanting to be a kind of grounded in Islamic tradition, like I'm a Muslim, right? We're Muslims and we want to remain true to our tradition. The ultimate authority cannot go to people like that. Especially when we have using pure reason and rational proofs and all of these things. And I already covered this in another series on Aqidah, just a basic text that I explained, and I'll put the link for it right here. So you can listen to that series. But for now, just looking at that, your ultimate authority should be the Quran, should be the Prophet ﷺ, because this is about ultimate reality. It's not, it's the creator of the whole universe telling you how things should be. So that's one part. The second part I want to get you to kind of wrap your mind around a little bit is the idea of roles. I think is problematic to speak about. Because if you look at the Quran, it doesn't speak about a specific role in that sense, in the sense that you're using it for men and women. There's a purpose for men and women. But to say role, I think is problematic. And I get some people will say, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. I get that you're going to bring all these things. I'm talking about role in the sense that somebody has taken the Quran, interpreted it, so now it's gone through the prism of the human mind, and then through their interpretation constructed a role, and now they're going to try to fit human beings who are organic creatures that are not like parts of an electronic machine that you just put it in and say, like, you serve this role and you serve that role, and you try to kind of mold them into that. There's a purpose for human beings, male and female, and the purpose is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That is the only reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, to know Him, to worship Him. And when He told the angels why He's creating human beings, He said, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I'm putting on this earth a vicegerent, a representative. Now, that could be different for different people. People have different talents. People can give to society in their own different ways. To construct a role artificially, after having taken revelation through the prism of the human mind, which is influenced by the cultural surroundings that this mind is in, and then induce that to all of human beings and say, all of you, women should be doing this and men should be doing this, that's when you have a problem. So somebody who studies Islam, like if you get somebody from a culture, say like, from Sudan, where I'm from, you get somebody from Sudan, they will have a different perception and a perspective about the role of men and women, generally speaking. If you ask them about roles, like what do women do here in Sudan, what do men do? They'll tell you something. If you take what they say and go to Saudi Arabia, where I lived for a long time, and you tell them this is what you should be doing, you'll get smacked upside your head. Because they have a different perspective, they have a different perception of it. I'm not going to get into the oppressed and not oppressed and rights and not drive and all of it. Like, that's not the issue. I'm just talking in the abstract sense right now. And then you take all of that and you go to, go to South America and tell them about how they should be living. And then go to, that's why you need to travel. I recommend, if you can't travel, you should look at documentaries on anthropology, cultural anthropology, so that you can at least, if you can't travel because of financial restraints or work constraints or study constraints, at least you can virtually travel and you can see how people are living across the planet, and you'll see different ways of doing things. That's why I'm not comfortable with the word role. And Islam itself, if you look at how it manifests itself in different societies and different cultures, there's a great, beautiful diversity in how it manifests itself, and adapts in many ways to the cultural norms, where these cultural norms do not contradict clear-cut injunctions in the Sharia. So, because this is scattered thought, I don't want to make it too long. I just wanted to bring to your attention these 2 points about that. The point about elevating science to be the ultimate authority for determining what's what. I mean, so what if they discovered that male and female brains there's no difference? So I don't care. It's not surprising, to be honest with you. I'm not thinking like, wow, this is like so transformative. So what? Who cares if they're the same? Metaphysically speaking, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He created us in pairs, and He called us zawj, azwaj, and we have a complementary relationship. Women have things that men don't have, and I'm not talking biologically speaking. I'm talking about as a being. The being that is a woman has things that the being that is a man doesn't have. And the man has things that women don't have. That doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means that you need both of them to advance this thing we call the human project. to make society healthy. The second you have a society where, and that's the other thing about roles. Who's to say that you're giving the right or you're getting the most benefit for society by having people really contribute in the best way that they can? If you're going to, construct artificial roles for them that may or may not fit with that particular person's talents and personality and things that they can give. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is, so again, scattered thought. I just wanted to throw these thoughts out there, and hopefully that in some weird way it makes sense to you. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you guys have been enjoying this content. I've changed the background a little bit and all of this stuff, and I'm adding more stuff to the channel. To show your support, the best thing you can do for me is to like the video and to share it with your friends and family and your social network, and just, tweet it and Facebook it and all of this good stuff. Those of you who are able to give some financial support in some kind to help me make some more videos, I've got a few projects that I'd like to get into. You can go to my Patreon page. The link for it is in the description box, or you can link right here. You can click right here for it, and you can help me out through that way. So anyways, I'll check you next time.